Sanbanan, welcome to my page. Today I'm going to speak about how to ace that interview. So we spent time last week talking about how to write your CV in such a way that it articulates your unique value proposition. So you've gone through that stage, and now your CV was selected, you've been shortlisted, and you have to attend an interview. I've witnessed in my career of 20 plus years when people get to the stage, they approach it differently. Others, most of the time, I think just an interview, it is a bit intimidating because you have to speak about yourself, and most of the time, most of us are not comfortable to speak about ourselves. But I've experienced people, one being so afraid, like literally, you will not believe it, but she literally sat and just cried. And you understand, I think as an interviewer, as part of the panel, you understand that this person is under pressure. And they probably they've been out of a job for a long time, and they really want this job, but unfortunately, she wasn't even selected. She didn't have the skills. So today I want to decode it and just make sure that it's not that intimidating. So when you have the skills, interviewing is actually a skill that you can develop. You can hire a coach and have and practice, have somebody help you through it so that you are able to confidently articulate your value. Because what we've seen in that CV, it's exactly, so just reframe your mind. You are here because we believe that you have what it takes. We actually want you to be part of this team. You are top 5. Usually it's going to be 5 people that have been shortlisted, and we are basically asking the question, are you the one? Convince us. We are convinced from the CV, you convinced us, but can you just walk us through your CV, convince us that you are the one? Most organizations today, they use competency-based interviews, and that's all because of the talent management approach, which is now competency-based. Somebody will be asking, what sort of an interview is that? So basically, just to simplify it, it just means that an interview where you have to demonstrate a skill or a competency. So you provide evidence. Instead of us just asking you, are you a good team player? We are going to ask you to tell us about a time where you demonstrated this capability, this competency. So, the clue really is the job description. So make sure that you keep that job advert. The clue of what are some of the competencies that you could be asked. It's really from the job description or from the job advert itself. They will be listed. I think, last week we talked about how to integrate some of those keywords into your CV. So those are the keywords. Yes, they follow all the way through into the interview. So really what you need to do is, prepare different cases. So this is not you waking up and just rocking up and showing up for an interview. You really have to frame your mind, be in the moment, do the research about the company, about the position, do read the integrated reports, ask if you have the privilege of knowing some people from the organization, you can ask them, but also you can rely on the website to get more information about, about who they are, what are their values, because those are some of the things that definitely the interview will unpack. We are looking at a fit. Are you the one? Do you fit the culture? Do you fit the organization, what we are looking for? Also, are you going to be able to solve the issues, the problems that we have? Because, positions exist because they have an objective to fulfill, a problem to solve, if you want to put it that way. So basically, as I talked about results in the CV, right now, all you have to sing and demonstrate is that, yes, I am that person. Yes, I am results oriented. So I'm not going to get into definitely like the, technicalities of the different questions, but I'm just going to highlight what a competency-based interview is and the approach. How should you approach a competency-based interview? Guided by the panel who will be asking you. Sometimes they'll be asking you this question like, tell us about a time. So when you hear such, tell us about the time, give us an example, then you know that it's a competency-based question, and they will tell you that, because I think for me, I know like most of the panels that I've sat in would literally just guide you and say, give us an example, tell us the situation, a task, an action, and a result. So then that tells you that you have to use the STAR methodology or framework, where the S stands for the situation, the T is the task, The A is the action that you did and what was the result. So just get comfortable in this interview by, you're going to be telling us a story. You're going to be taking us through a journey, and we are asking all those questions just because we want to, at the back of your mind, just try and assess which competency are they looking for, so that you then give a specific example. So I'm just going to give a few examples of how you should use the STAR methodology. Other frameworks are the CARD, other people that use, context. What was the context? What was the action that you did? What was the result? And, what was the reflections or the learning, the CAL. Reflect. Sometimes it's CAR as in double R, sometimes it's L as in Carl. So the learnings, what did you learn from the situation? So using the STAR, so we'll just focus on the STAR methodology today, and we're going to look at problem solving. So definitely most of the positions will, like I said, we're looking for problem solvers. Well, the question will be something like, tell us about the time where you solved a complex problem. So the approach here is quickly, go through your different scenarios, because by then you would have prepared a whole, different scenarios for the different competencies, and you are not going to be telling us a story. So keep the situation and the task to be, maybe I would say 20% of your answer, and then really expand the rest of the framework, expand on the action, expand on the what was the result, and a bit of learning. Yes, it's a STAR without the L, but for you to stand out and for you to do a little bit of extra, it'll be good to then, consolidate all that into what did you learn. So if it's a problem solving, and by the way, this is going to look different for junior positions, mid-career, and executive positions. We're going to use maybe the same competencies, but the complexity is going to be different. So really, it could really go from as simple as I had a situation A where the company, maybe in my department, we had to resolve an issue of we're losing customers. That was the situation. So you were tasked. You're tasked with the responsibility to investigate this issue, come up with a solution, and then that's exactly what you did. Your action, what did you do? So I know that some of the goals, like if you are in a junior position, some of those things you would have done it in a team environment. So yes, while you're telling us that it was done through a team, because again, we don't want you to overstate results which can be attributed to a team, and it's going to be obvious as we are asking that surely an individual would not have been able to achieve all this result. So just make sure that you communicate that clearly. But what was your contribution? If it was a team effort, then this is what I did, which is going to show us initiative, which is going to show us that you are, innovative. You're going to show us that you are a problem solver. And what was the result? At the result, we had an increase or a turnaround or whatever, we were able to have customer retention, whatever results that were that came as a result of the action that you did. That is what you then tell us during the interview. But also, like I said, if you want to now just add a cherry on top, that's you now going to tell us about what did you learn, because definitely there's no way you can be solving problems, working in an organization, working with different team members, and you're not learning anything. The other one that will always be there is conflict resolution. I've watched people, like, really, guys, interviews, yes, I know they're complex, they're difficult, but sometimes they're just that simple. Like, there's no way you can answer the question and say, I've never been involved in a conflict. No, I haven't had the situation before. You've just left 5 or 10 marks on the I don't know how many marks will be allocated to that, but you've just left all those marks on the table. That is why, like, if you've got a kind panel, definitely will then be saying to you, just give us an example, even if it's not from work, from a personal just give us an example from your personal life, which then also confuses people. Like, why do you want to know about my, I've just seen people frowning, why do you want to know about my personal life? And it's like, no, what do I try and understand what you are doing here. The whole thing, the whole principle, and underlying competency-based interviews is that past behavior is a predictor of future behavior and results. So we just want to assess, and don't give us an example from 10 years ago, from 5 years ago. We want to assess a recent example. So we'll say in the last year, or in the last 6 months or a year, how did you resolve a conflict? So what we're looking there, and I think the whole issue of giving examples, of presenting different scenarios, is that you have to just make sure that you do not shoot yourself in the foot. Make sure that you don't portray yourself as that person that is always starting the conflict, or that difficult person, so think about, what is it that I have to demonstrate? So we know that conflict is inherent in every problem, in every relationship, really. So what we want from you is, how have you approached it? What is your conflict resolution style? Are you avoiding, or you're the person that's stirring up the trouble? How are you managing relationships, cross-unit collaboration? Because we're looking at somebody, maybe the position is going, definitely if you're, whatever department you're in, you're definitely going to be working with other departments. And in that process, you're going to have conflict. Were you able to remain objective and think of the business the business or the organization's objective more than your interest? Were you able still to come to a situation where it's a win-win, or you were just so resolved on, this is what I am right, I am correct? Were you able to compromise and accommodate the others? How are your listening skills? So in one example, you are telling us, we are listening, we're listening to different things, we're hearing and seeing us, taking notes, just because, it all of it matters. So your situation, like I said, you're not going to spend a lot of time. Again, I've watched people, read the room, watch how your panel is responding to you. If you're now taking a long time to explain, quickly cut the story and make sure that you're getting to that action and the result. If unfortunately the example that you have to give is one that doesn't portray, or that doesn't put you in good light, or portrays you as that person problematic, or the one that starts or stirs the pot, then what you have to do, demonstrate to us that you are actively managing this, or you have learned from it. So I'll quickly wrap that up. So I will be saying, I'll be giving this example of how, for instance, we had a project and it was a cross-functional team, because of, I'm going to talk about HR because I've been HR, because HR, maybe we had this goal to complete, but as we were in this team, the different team members also, they had competing demands, and they wanted maybe their interest to be, prioritized over our interest. And therefore we came to a point where they didn't want or agree, they didn't see why we should prioritize what I needed maybe to be prioritized. So what I'm going to say in that interview is that, instead of having a full-blown conflict in front of other colleagues, we were able to de-escalate the issue, maybe stop the meeting if it was a meeting, and address it outside the meeting, just to have one-on-one, explain where I'm coming from, listen what they're saying, explain where I'm coming from, and literally looking for a win-win situation. And what I learned is that, communication in every conflict, it's best to communicate whatever lessons that you got from that situation, communicate that to the panel. And, the last example that I can give really is about decision-making. Usually if I'm part of the panel, and this one can get tricky because we were asking you, tell us about the time when you made a very good decision. Tell us about the time when you made a bad decision. And instead of just asking you, what are your weaknesses? Those are some of the trick questions we'll be asking. And basically, whether you're junior or you're senior, you'll be at some point be forced to make a decision. So what we are looking for is the process. Did you gather data, or do you just rush just jump into making decisions. Did you gather data? Did you, how about your stakeholder management? Did you consult others? Then what were the options? Make sure that in that example you gave us the option. There was an option of 1, 2, 3. There was this option. These are the risks that were associated with this direction or this direction. And then, looking at all that, taking into consideration all those factors, I then made a decision to 1, 2, 3. And it was a good decision because, you give us the result. And if there's any lessons that you learned, great. For me, yes, the lessons, I love having the lessons, but even if you forget the lessons, for all the positive ones, it's okay. But for the negative ones, for instance, you made a bad decision, you definitely have to nicely wrap that one up by telling us what you learned. Because I know that if we ask candidates about what are your weaknesses, tell us about the time where you failed. Also, that one is really going to come because, guys, we are human beings and you are human and joining human beings and things happen. So we really want to know, how do you handle things? That process that you're going to articulate is going to inform us whether you will be a fit to the team that maybe we're recruiting for, or a fit to the organization. And one that I can just quickly put in there, if you're a manager, definitely we are asking for more complex situations. And really, if you are giving us a shallow situation, you are leaving points on the table. Management 101 is the ability to work through others, right? Influence, or management, functions of management is what? It's planning, leading, controlling, and organizing. So you're definitely going to have those competencies tested. Tell us about a time when you planned, where you had a project, where you led. So those are the examples. Those are the keywords you're going to hear during the interview. Where you influenced, where you motivated, where you led. So your job quickly is to, whilst you're sitting in front of the panel, is to be quickly listening, read the room, and listen what competency are they assessing, and then have your examples. So basically, interviews, they can be intimidating, but when you have said to really craft and know your unique value proposition, they get easy. You enter the room as an equal. Really, it's you enter the room as an equal, in the sense that the panel is looking for a candidate. They're asking themselves, are you the one? And basically, we're all looking for a match. You're also entering this room with, is this the right organization for me? And yes, the last part, when they ask you about the questions, do you have any questions for us? Please do not leave points on the table with this one. Again, if you are at management level or executive level, you really have to be asking strategic questions. I know that if you look at the internet, there's going to be different examples, many examples. Basically, do not ask the simple questions. They should be really thought-provoking, because this is the time where they've been leading the interview, and now you have the opportunity to lead it to a different direction and demonstrate maybe some of the preparation that you have done. They haven't asked any questions around those issues, but anyways, I would keep it to strategic questions. You have read the integrated report, or whatever reports that you read in terms of, to learn more about the organization. So you're going to talk and ask questions regarding to the strategy, or maybe how this department contributes to that. Or you can be sharing, from my experience, this is how we did 1, 2, 3. I want to understand how your organization have approached such a similar challenge. Or others will be saying, what does success look like for this role in the next 90 days? So basically, those are questions for the junior roles. And there's so many examples that can be used, but really you're not going to be the one that's walking away saying, no, thank you, I have no questions. Please do not do that. I think the whole discussion covers the value of getting a career coach, because yes, you can sit with your family members, your friends, and you can do a practice demo and like take you through several questions, but really the value of getting somebody that has been part of the panel, that has been part of HR, is getting the inside job, because then you know that, you know, I'm walking into the room with the right frame of mind and with the right questions for the level that I'm applying. So anyways, I hope this has been a good video for you. Please tag, share with that person that's going to be attending an interview shortly. And remember, I'm doing all this work in order to make sure that you win this year. Definitely, some people have been sitting in their careers for a long time. Why? Because they are afraid. The thought of attending an interview is daunting for them. But I'm saying to you, you can get the tools, you can get used to this, you can ace this interview, you are here to win it. And remember, it's your career, it's your choice. Follow me on all my social media channels, and I post weekly videos and just giving you tips to basically manage your career. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.